Hello, and welcome to the Embrace Balance, Discover Joy podcast. I'm Amanda Butland, your host and intuitive life coach. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Embrace Balance, Discover Joy. Today, my special guest is Yanin Cuyen Lopez, and
Hi.
so great to have you with me today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Amanda. I love being here with you, and I really appreciate your invitation.
Great. So I'm going to start off with a little icebreaker question. What hobby or activity brings you the most joy and why?
Okay. That's such a good question. I love so many things, right? I mean, many things catch my interest. I think that what sticks with me really is swimming. I love to swim, but obviously that's something I need to have like time and, specific place. So the other part that I really like to do on my free time is just painting, and doing like tile art, anything that has to do with adding color and adding beauty to whatever place I am or to whatever, that really brings me a lot of joy. And that's something that I sometimes it comes easily, and sometimes I have to make myself time for it because I know it really is good for my soul and for me, just
Mm.
like my everyday life.
Yeah, I love what you said about just bringing beauty to the world. That's awesome. I love that. Thank you for sharing. All right, so
Yes,
let's get right into it. So we're here to talk about transformation of lives through coaching, and you are a coach, right? Did you want to talk
right.
a little bit about like sort of what your coaching practice is all about?
Sure, sure. Yeah, well, my beginning as a professional, I is a dietitian, right? I began as a dietitian, and then something was like not right, and I continued to explore in my job and my clients, and I'm like, there's something that's not really clicking here, and I came across coaching, and I think it was like 2015 or something like that, and it changed my life. Not only did it change the way that I work, but it also changed like my personal life, because it just really transforms your way of relating with people.
Mm.
And I forgot the question.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I love what you said already about, how your business changed from, or your career changed from being a dietitian to being a coach and how it transformed your practice and your relationships. Can you talk a little bit more about, how coaching impacted your business or your career?
Sure. So it used to be that it was like a top-down relationship, right? Right. Like this is person would come to me with issues, and I'd be like, this is the answer, and this is how you can approach it. So it would help them organize and plan. But it was always like me holding the information and handing it down to them and having them, like attach and stick with the motivation um as they progress. And coaching change in the way that the patient or the clients, I help them find their own answers and find their own way in their past. And that way I don't step on their autonomy. And the fact is that only only one, right? Only us can like really know what we need in the moment, but sometimes we need like a little helping hand or a little guide. So I kind of consider myself like a friend in health, something like that, because it's like it changed in many ways. Answering your question, it changed in the way that I help the person change their lifestyle, change their eating habits, change their self-care, um, the way that they find the answers, the way that I accompany with them, and the way I connect with them. It's not so much like, okay, I'm on this side of the desk and you're on the other side of the desk. No, we're kind of like on it together. And it also changed because it's not just like that consultation, it's like that 20-minute or 40-minute or whatever talk. That no, it's also, the relationship does flow and does continue between consults. So it really it's beautiful and it's transformative for me as much as for the person who's hiring me to, to help them in their wellness journey.
Yeah, I love what you said about how, you're sort of empowered in the shift from when you started the coaching versus just the dietitian, it was more consulting. And then you sort of, with the coaching, it's really they're coming up with a lot of the ideas. You're empowering them to figure out what is best for them because, like you said, they are the ones that know themselves the best. And I love how you described it more as then it became more of a partnership where you're sort of more collaborating as opposed to that top down, like this is what you should be doing. So I love that how you describe that shift as you incorporated coaching into your business.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's a way, that's like the big difference, I guess. Yeah.
hmm Yeah, and you mentioned that not only does it transform your clients' lives, but it's also transformative for yourself as well. Can you maybe talk a little bit about like how your life has changed from incorporating coaching into your business?
Yeah, yeah, it's really amazing, because it feels like at some point um I feel freer. It's like we have like this structure to follow, but the structure is larger than the one I used to work with, right? The structure I used to work with was like smaller and it had little room to grow and to move. And now coaching is like amplifies the structure to work within. So it gives you like a lot more options as towards like how to approach problems, right? How to approach challenges more than problems, how to approach the opportunities of growth for the person. And as far as my personal life, how it changed me, it changed like the way I communicate because it used to be like, okay, I think in a conversation, it may be like, I think this and I think that, right? The two people would be like, I think. And now it's more like you're actively listening to the person and you're reading between the lines and you're thinking, what is this person like truly desiring? What is this person like? Where is it's like you have like these x-ray glasses, right? And it permits you, it allows you to ask them a question for them to do the thinking and them to do like the the um the realization of what they can be thinking differently in order for them to be able to step out of their limiting beliefs and see the world in a perspective that they didn't used to see it, and therefore um, be able to take a step and grow, right?
Yeah, I love what you said about, allowing them to see things differently. Because, like you said, like limiting, like seeing their limiting beliefs and being able to shift out of that and grow. Because that's such a big part of, what coaching's all about, right? Helping people see their limiting beliefs, helping them, you know, change those beliefs and then, expand and grow and elevate to a new level. And just having that awareness sometimes and just asking those simple questions. Can help that like open their eyes. So I love what you said about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's sometimes more about asking questions than giving them information. Because people
Yeah.
don't really want to be told what to do, They want to like make their own life. So that's what we're facilitating.
Yeah, I love that about, just asking the questions because you're right. Like if they don't, if you're telling them what to do, people have a lot of resistance to that, right? They're like, I don't want you to tell me what to do. And when they come up with the ideas, they sort of you're empowering them, and they have that buy-in because it's their idea, and so they're able to then make those changes and shifts in their lives because the ideas that they're coming up with and what needs to change, it's coming from within themselves. So yeah, I love that. That's such a key piece of coaching, right? Is allowing
Yeah,
them to come up with those ideas themselves.
totally.
Yeah. All right. So this has been a great conversation so far. What I'd love to go back to is sort of that original question that I asked at the beginning about your passion, and I know you mentioned swimming, but you also mentioned art. And I'm wondering how you might incorporate your passion into your coaching practice.
Oh wow, that's a beautiful question, Amanda. Thank you. Because the fact is that um and I think I share this with a lot of people. I used to like compartmentalize, right? My life. It's like, okay, this is family, this is career, this is hobby, this is sports, this is spiritual life. And now I'm 40 something, right? So it's like time passes by and you start changing your view of things. And now it's like I'm seeing that actually that segmentation is helpful. Obviously, it's productive, but sometimes it's much more enriching and much more like growth promoting and enlightening when you integrate. And so like for example, art, right? Like what's happened to me is Amanda, I've been sure like some challenges lately. I just recently survived breast cancer and I'm very grateful for that. And that gave me like a big pause, right, in my life. And it was very um it was like surprising because when I as soon as I got diagnosed with cancer, the first thing I had an urge for is to do watercolor. I've never done watercolor. I'm like an acrylics more type person, or your markers or crayons. And I was like, I need to do watercolor. I don't know why. And I started, like getting into watercoloring. And then I did all my treatment and I finished it. And now it's like I'm having a hard time just like doing my the work that I used to do, like exactly the way I used to do it. I feel like I need to like expand, and to add something, and it has to do with art. So it's so funny that you asked this because it's like I'm on this side. On one hand, I'm like having the urge to draw more and to add more color. And what I've noticed is like, for example, when I have some sort of inspiration or when somebody prompts me to draw, I make a drawing, and once I finish it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I see a meaning here, right? I see like so I get like messages, right, from the drawings that I make. And I don't do it with that intention. But when I finish it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is where I am at life, or this is where I'm going, or this is my past, and this is my future, and this is my family, and I find that very healing. And the fact is that since I am a healer, right? Because I'm working with people who have like eating issues, or like conflicts with food or conflicts with their body and the way they feed themselves. Um, I walk them through this healing process that has to do with their body, and that why are we sick, right? We're sick because there's something that we haven't like really figured out. We haven't. There's some sort of conflict in our life that it could be cognitive, emotional, physical, whatever. There's a challenge that we weren't able to exactly resolve. So it kind of gets stuck in our body. It gets stuck in our body. And since we didn't have the tools to get it unstuck, then it's kind of like in our subconscious. So art is something that we don't necessarily do consciously. It kind of like comes out, right? When you act, when you dance, when you sing, you do have a little bit of skills, obviously. It's always a mix of things. But there's a lot of unconscious coming out, a lot of unconscious expression coming out of it. And I've seen it, and this is just like a little sample, right? I'm not going to go all the way in, but I've seen it in my life in these things, for example. And I'm really, I know that this is like a sort of calling and a sort of opportunity to integrate both things, healing the body, healing the person, the soul, and using art as a tool, because it really does like open up. And on many ways, on one of the ways is this, like you see the messages, right? on another way is what it does to us. It's like you listen to a good piece of music and you are happy. And when we're happy, we vibrate higher. We vibrate higher, we heal faster, and we don't get sick as well. So that's what I'm kind of like going through, like thinking and feeling that really integrating is an essential part of my stage from now on, right? The next stage.
Yeah, I love that. I love what you said about, as it's a lot of like unconscious things that are happening as you're doing art and the messages that come out and the healing that happens. I love that, and how you're taking it to the next step in your journey by incorporating that and bringing that thing that brings you joy into your work. That's just so beautiful, and I can just see as you talk about it how passionate and how much joy it brings you. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you for asking, for letting this creation happen.
Yeah, it's so important to bring that thing that brings us joy into what we do, right? Because, when you're able to do that and live your passions and live in alignment with those things that bring you joy, it just, like you said, it raises your vibration and you radiate that to everybody around you. And it not just your own vibration, but elevates those around you too. So I just love that so much. And I'm so excited for that next step on your journey to bring and integrate those two things together.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's so important what you say about elevating, because it's like we we get how do I can't remember the word for it, but it's like the opposite. It's not contamination, because contamination has like a negative connotation. But it's
Hmm.
like when I don't know, you have like white acrylic, and you throw it somewhere. I mean, you're enlightened, or you feel inspired, and the inspiration is passed on to the other
Hmm.
person, but it's not passed on like actively, it just happens. It's like
Yeah,
energy, just
it's sort of
yeah,
like it like radiates. Is that like
yeah,
it radiates?
it
Yeah.
radiates, and it's like it, I don't know how to say it, but it's like you feel something good, and the other person feels it, like immediately, right, instantly or spontaneously.
Hmm. Yeah, that's great. All right. So, Shiveen, this has been such a great conversation so far already, and I just wanted to find out, like, is there anything else that you would love to share with our audience today?
Wow, that's a great question. I think that something, what comes to mind is that we're always waiting for things to be figured out, and things to be like, okay, this is it, this is the end of the journey, I got it. And the fact is that we're always going to have challenges in our life. We're always going to have like a next issue, a next thing that we don't know how we're going to resolve it. And I think it's so valuable when we embrace that, right? When we are like, okay, um, not to be like on the paranoid side, like everything is so cool, something's going to happen. No, not that extreme. But when something presents itself as a challenge and as an issue, um, have like train that reaction to be, ooh, okay, this is a growth opportunity. This is going to take me outside my comfort zone, and I'm going to be able to evolve, and I'm going to be able to know how to resolve things in a way that I used to not be able to. And also, on that moment, right, at that moment when we receive the bad news of the challenge or something, at that moment, we're always going to be like, the world's over. I don't know what to do. We're going to die. But always, 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 eventually, we start seeing more light and more light and more light and more opportunities and more. And then it comes to a point where that challenge was resolved and it's in the past. And we're like, oh, yeah, I remember when that happened. So, why am I saying this? Because, like, this stress, actually, like that excess of stress is such a common state of mind, of in worldwide, everywhere. You're in the States, I'm in Argentina, and we're seeing what happens like all over the world, and it's like it's the more common place to be is in the stress mode, like high stress mode. And practicing the fact that everything has a solution. Nothing is going to like totally throw us off and leave us out of possibilities. There's always some way to resolve that. Keeping that in mind is sometimes, it's really helpful.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I love that perspective on challenges.
Thank you.
And yeah, so thank you so much for sharing that with everybody. And I want to thank you again for being with me today and sharing your story. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda. It was a pleasure being with you.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, see you soon.
I invite you to subscribe to the Embrace Balance Discover Joy podcast and join our community. If you feel inspired by what you hear, please leave a review and share this podcast with others who might benefit. And remember, it's never too late to embrace balance and discover joy in your life. Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes filled with inspiring stories and valuable insights. Until next time, take care and be kind to yourself.